guys, that was kind of perky given what time of my life it is. I wanted to hop on here today, as you can tell by this title, and just have a little chatty video with you. So I thought I'd keep it cash and just keep my fluffy robe on. And yeah, I'm having a lazy Sunday, so I thought why not share some tips and tricks on adulting with you guys. One of my beautiful subscribers reached out to me and asked me to share my tips on being my age at 25 and living alone, living independently, and how I manage it all, having a full-time job, working 40 plus hours a week, and then juggling all of this craziness that is YouTube and still having a life and like that, and budgeting and finances and how I do it. So I just thought maybe I would get in here and explain to you how I do things. Right off the top, I moved out to almost, it'll be 2 years in March. In May, sorry, I moved out. But anyway, I've been out on my own now, it'll be 2 years in May. And when I decided to make that move, I kind of weighed the pros and the cons about it, but I was like working full time in my career and I was happy and I was settled there. I luckily graduated debt free because I worked so hard to make sure, like I worked all through college to make sure I could pay off anything. I never actually had a student loan. I worked every semester to pay for the next semester. And that's how I did college, because I don't come from an uber rich wealthy family. I come from a family of hard workers and people who have drive and determination. So that's how I paid for college. Once I decided I was going to move out on my own, it was post buying my new car, it was post getting my own insurance for the first time, and having all that on my own was expensive. My car insurance, when I first had insurance, was over $400 a month. My car payments were over $300. Everything has gone down significantly now, but it was tough. While I was living at home, I was saving to move out on my own, so I had plans. Oh, I'm choking on air. Isn't that lovely? When I decided to make the move to move out, I knew I didn't want to be in an apartment. So anyway, I'm all settled in now in the house, and Lola and I are happy here. And when I moved out, my first thought was, how's Lola going to adjust? So I made that conscious decision as a mommy to move. Everyone's going to say that's ridiculous, Amanda. But Lola and I are doing great. And not only do I have to provide for me, I have to provide for her. And believe it or not, little dogs are not cheap. Like certain food types, because of her small stomach, all that stuff, like that stuff adds up. So all that goes into what I consider to be my monthly budget. Now, let me start by saying budgeting. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but the basic concept of budgeting is you know how much you make every month, and you know how much your expenses cost, and whatever's left over is your play money. That's essentially how that works. So in terms of budgeting out everything financially for the month, at the end of the previous month, so for example, the end of January, which is when I'm filming this, I will sit down, I will look at my calendar, which is in this beautiful creature that I live out of, and I count the paydays. Some months there's 2 paydays, some months there's 3. I know how much I get paid. I find out, like I'll total all of them up, like whether it's 2 or 3 months, and get the exact total. And then I also know when my car payments, my car insurance, the mortgage, heat and light, internet, cell phone, all have to come out of my bank account. So the way I set it up, because when I got my car insurance, I got to pick. So I had the car insurance come out everything at the beginning of the month. The mortgage comes out at the end of the month, so it's balanced between my checks. And if you're paying rent, if you're doing rental, I recommend, like, you know how much your rent's going to cost, so have it set aside. Like, as long as you know what's coming out, that's essentially your expenses. I also budget out my gas. I know how much money generally my car uses in gas, which is not a lot. $40 a month is significant for my car, given it's an eco-friendly model and everything is perfect in it. So luckily, I'm very lucky with that. So I do budget everything out, and believe it or not, I know it sounds stupid, but every month, even though it's in my head, I take the time to fill it into my planner, just so I know, so in case I forget or whatever, I'm not blindsided. And that's the first thing I do. So this is my planner for my YouTube life, my personal life, and my financial life, and Lola's life. So any appointments or anything go in here. My work schedule is done on a totally different platform, but I like to have a written thing because this helps me visualize it. It has like a notes section. I can write down how much things cost. I do all of that. So like when, for example, my car registration was due, I knew it was due by the end of February, and of course I had that budgeted out in my January budget, so it was prepared for it. It was like $160, so I like just took $50 out of each check, so I wasn't gonna, it doesn't come out in big amounts, so if I know I have a big expense coming out, I'll just start saving for it so it doesn't feel like I'm taking a giant chunk out of my check, because that's just kind of it. My other big tip on budgeting is have 2 separate accounts. I have my day-to-day spendings account and I have my savings account, and what I do when I get my check, I like pre-calculate how much my bills are going to cost coming from that check, and I transfer it over to the savings account. It's the account that I can touch whenever I need it just by transferring back and forth into accounts from the app on my phone. But if I try to use that account with my debit card, if I'm out anywhere, there's a minimum $5 fee, which I don't want to waste $5. My brain won't let me do that, so I don't touch it. It's that like extra added security, so you don't actually have to use it, but I also know that all my monthly bills are covered because it's coming out of that account, and when I need to pay them, I'll just transfer them over accordingly, so there's no shortage on funds. Another big tip I have for people is do not use credit if you cannot pay off your card. I don't understand, like I get unexpected emergencies come up, like when Lola got injured, obviously I had to put that on my credit card, but every month I factored in a credit card payment to get that bill completely gone. My credit card is at $0 as much as possible. It's been at $0 now for a year. Do I use it? Yes. I did things like I paid my car registration on my credit card and just transferred the money over right away. Like, I treat my credit card like a debit card, but the bonus with my credit card is it gets me all these extra scene points. Like, I haven't paid for a movie at Cineplex since Cineplex opened in Newfoundland. So that's like a big perk to that. Like, everyone says, how do you do it? I do beauty on a budget, but yet I'm never short on anything that I want. Everything gets budgeted out accordingly. I have all my technology and all that stuff, but it's all budgeted accordingly. So I'm not lacking. I have a little nest egg in the event of an emergency, but you just have to be aware of it. That's my biggest tip about budgeting. You have to be aware of your financial situation, and you don't have to be good at math. It's very simple. You look at your income for the month, you write it down, you write out the total. You know when your bills come out, they're not going to change. Your light bill generally doesn't change that much. Like, you have a rough idea what your light bill is going to be every month. Or if you're like me, you're on a payment plan with Newfoundland Power. So I know every month my light bill is going to be $149. In the summertime, my heat and light bill doesn't even hit $80. But what happens is I pay the $149 throughout the year, and then in summer, and then I create this credit so that I can go 3 or 4 months in the winter where I don't have to pay my bill. So logically, it just makes sense to be set up on these plans because you're used to that amount of money coming out on your own, like daily or regularly or monthly or whatever. So it's quite easy to budget it in. My next tip, believe it or not, is cooking meals at home. That really helps saving money. So I usually do at the end of the month a big Costco run for like my meats and stuff, anything that's freezer friendly. My upstairs freezer is full and the deep freeze in the basement is half full, and I could live off of that in an emergency situation. So, and my cupboards are full, so I'm not lacking food. It costs way more money to go to the grocery store every night after work to buy groceries, so it's a lot easier to plan things. I'm not saying you plan every meal, and it's okay to go pick up ingredients here or there, but I buy like my meat in bulk. I buy stuff when it's on sale, and I will buy a lot of it, and I make sure I freeze it. I make sure a lot of my goods that I purchase are freezable because I live alone, so cooking for one is difficult. But if I'll go buy, say, 40 pork chops out of a pork loin, chop them up, and I will individually freezer baggie them so they're already pre-prepped for meals. So I take the time in my food preparation, and it's great. I also buy produce every week. That's like a thing. I only spend like $15 or $20 on it. Cook at home as much as possible. Utilize things like a slow cooker. Like, I on Sundays will do meal prep for at least 2 to 3 days of the week. Like, that is a thing I do regularly, and I love doing it. I think tomorrow I'm gonna cheat a little though and make a shepherd's pie, and that'll last me the bulk of the week where I live alone. So those are the sort of things I do for food, and it helps a lot. In terms of like cleaning your house and stuff, you don't have to designate a day to like keep your space clean. I kind of clean throughout the whole week. I do the little things, and then on the weekends I choose to wash my floors or wash down the counters and stuff like that, because I actually find joy in cleaning. I like to do a bit of cleaning. I find I get lost in it. It gives me an excuse to crank the tunes up on bust. So saving your money and adulting isn't that hard, and I still do everything I want to do. If William calls and says, let's go out for lattes, I can. If William says, let's go to a movie, I will. Like, it's not a big deal. If someone wants to go out to dinner on an occasion, that's fine. Like, you can do all of those things and live your happy life and be a happy you but you don't have to live off of credit either. You just have to be aware of your financial situation. And I think there's so many people in my life that are not, and they just rack up their credit cards and deal with it later. And I think the best thing to do in your life is to just be aware of yourself and be aware of the amount of money you make, the expenses that you have, and there are things in life, believe it or not, that you can cut out. You know, or you don't have to cut them out, you can tweak them, you can tweak it a little bit. Like I said, you don't have to go out drinking every night. You can drink at home for half the price. Or you can cut out going out to lunches because you can make some meals at home. Like those sorts of things are important to do, and it's better for you as well. Or like, I don't know about you guys, but like a lot of my friends pay a significant amount of money to go to the gym. Like I was just pricing gym memberships because I am trying to get a little more into fitness. And the quotes I got from the gyms here were a minimum of $30 a week. That is disgusting to me. Like, and a lot of my friends who have gym memberships pay these things and barely go. So it's such a waste of money. So I actually do workout videos at home, and I bought myself some workout weights, and my elbow is still healing, so I have to ease into it a bit. But I do take the time to do that workout every day because it is good for my body. So I do those things, and you can do so many workout videos at home. You can tweak stretches, you can do yoga at home. You can go to yoga if you want, you can find free classes. Take the time to look for things. And I think people don't understand that. Like today I went shopping and I spent $43 and got 3 bras at Victoria's Secret, 2 sweaters at Urban Planet, and a very nice pair of mittens from Bench, which is not cheap. So I spent $43 today. So take the time to shop the deals, pay attention to coupons. I coupon when I can for groceries. I use apps like Ebates and Checkout 51 all the time because that helps save money, believe it or not. If you put the time in to try to save money, you will do it. And the other thing, if you're not into like written planners, the bean's falling. If you're not into the written planners, I would suggest, like for me, I have an iPad, an iPhone, and an iMac. And any Apple users out there know all of your information is shared through your Apple ID across all of your devices. So I do have the digital calendar as well. So I do take one night or 2 nights out of a month and sit down and import all of my stuff into my written planner and all of my stuff into my digital calendar, because it is important to have that kind of stuff in your mind. You know, it's very much a big deal to take care of yourself and to take care of everything in your life. So those are my tips on adulting. I hope it wasn't too rambly. I hope it made a bit of sense. If you guys have any questions on how I do things, like I said, like in a roundup, budget accordingly, use a planner, designate nights for cleaning your home and your space, and like you don't have to be OCD about it, but like, you know, do your best to stick to a semi-decent routine. I think the key to successfully adulting is to find a routine for you that really helps you optimize all of your strengths. I know not everyone is as organized as me, or I love organization. I get great solace out of reorganizing my closets, so I'm that type of person. And if you're not, that's cool. I'm not saying everything has to be uber concise and organized in your life. I'm just saying take the time to budget things out accordingly so you're not financially stuck. That is probably the biggest tip I could give anybody for adulting. So if you guys have any like random questions, I can definitely try to answer them in the comments down below. Keep in mind I'm only 25, so go easy on me, friends. And if you guys have any fun tips for adulting that you find make life a little easier, feel free to tell me down below, because I love switching up my routine in the adult world, because it's gotta be fun sometimes. Sometimes it's fun not to get dressed. Sometimes it's fun to wear your pajamas out in public, and guess what? I do those things. So I am a normal 25-year-old. But with all of that being said, I'm going to end it here and say give this video a big thumbs up. Expand that description box down below, because you will find the links to all of my social media, my vlog channel, and my blog. And if you're not already, please click that subscribe button down below and hit that little bell so you'll get notified when I post new content. And I will see you in my next video. Love you guys. Bye.